This is my electric ProAce van, and follow me while we're going to have a day in the life of having an electric van and working as an electrician on the tools. We actually have two of these on the fleet. They're both the same 71 plates, actually the same YP71 on both, and it's the 50 kilowatt hour ProAce EV. So we bought these a few years ago. They were quite expensive at the time. I think we paid 19 grand each plus that. You can get them a lot cheaper now, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this video, because they are such a bargain if you can get one, but also if you can put up with the day-to-day driving of them. Now, I love this van. I'd much rather drive it than my Ranger, but I know the guys that are working for me really don't like using the electric vehicles. And we'll go into some of the reasons why that is in this video. I'll go into some of the reasons why I really like it as well. This is the view from inside. So as you can see, it's just under 16,000 miles. I am at home this morning, fully charged, and we've got 120 miles on the range. So just to go about the interior a little bit, you can see Toyota ProAce, very similar to the others in the range. I think it's the Dispatch, the Vivaro, and there might be another one I'm probably missing. All the same sort of thing. So this does have the screen in it, and it's got Apple CarPlay, which is one of the best things about it. Air conditioning, heated mirrors. What else have we got? We've got the USB up front as well. We've got a glove box in the dashboard, which it took me a year before finding out that was actually there. Plenty of storage space, so this is all good. Loads of bins in the doors and things like that. But it does have a few issues as well, like we can't get a cup in that cup holder. So let's head off over to my first job. It's 21-minute drive and 14 miles away. So this time of year, I would expect my range to be about 80 miles by the time I get there, which sounds mad because that's 40 miles off the expected range. And that's the truth of it. That's what we find with these vans. So once I get there, I'll do a little check-in and see how we've got. And I can just show you how these vans are getting on. Now, these ProAces come with a 50 kilowatt battery, kilowatt hour battery, sorry. And they do a 75 kilowatt hour version in some of the Rangers. Now, for me, on a day-to-day job, if I'm a small work sparky around my local home, 50 kilowatt hours is fine. You don't do 80 miles in a day, no problems at all. However, as soon as you can start going a little bit further, if you've got an hour range around your home, then that extra battery size would really help. So for example, for us in Derby, if I go to Nottingham and back, it's no problem at all. If I go to 4 different addresses in Derby, sometimes it can be a bit touch and go. And then on a further run, if I want to go to Stoke and back, it just depends on the weather and the traffic. So we'll cover that in this video, and I'll talk about how I handle it day to day, because we might end up charging on the road today as well. So in here, I've got all the usual stuff you'd expect: racking, ladders, toolboxes, things like that. Not tidy at all. Usually it is, but at the moment, not so much. So we've got racking on both sides. Now the great things about these is they do have 2 sliding doors, so you can get in both sides. And on the way, I've got this one set up. Obviously we've got 2 lots of racking in there, so it's just handy for getting equipment stock. Back in the dry, because chucking it down there. So I've done actually 29 miles so far today, and I'll show you the dash display in a second. And we've got 68 miles left on the range. Totally normal for this on a day-to-day basis. So from the 50 kilowatt hour battery, and when it's fully loaded, heating on, bad weather, all the rest, 80 miles is a pretty typical day. Not unusual at all. Obviously, if I was driving to London, I might be having a bit of a stress about how I'm getting down there and how I'm charging, and I just wouldn't go in this van. That's the long and short of it, really. But if you're the sort of person who's looking for a vehicle, you've seen these, and they are very good prices at the moment, and you think that'll do me, how much actual range will I get? This will give you a good idea. So there we are with the 85. We started on 59 this morning. So yeah, 29 miles. The range started at 120 and we're down to, in fact, we've just lost 2 miles while I've been sat here with the heating on. So the range is down to 67. So 30 miles so far, done a third of my range. So it's just how things are in these vehicles. And if you're looking for a van that you can do 200 miles in a day in, 100%, there's a 0 chance that this will do that. If you're thinking you might be able to squeeze 100 out of it, it's probably right in the summer. Quite often I'll go out, I'll do 20 odd miles in the morning, nip out some other jobs, come back in the afternoon, and I can easily squeeze out 70, 80 miles, and I've got loads of range and I've got no worries about getting back. But when I do go on those a little bit longer journeys, I find it's just easier to charge and not worry, right? Rather than trying to rinse everything out of the battery and hope you get back and it being stressful, it's easier to stop along the way, where when you're in the local area, you know where all the superchargers are. And if you're going to a certain point, if you know, like if I know I'm going over to Nottingham, I know I can charge at the McDonald's at Clifton. They've got a charger there, and that's about 12 miles from here. So if I get there, I only need 5 minutes on the charger. So, you know, nip into McDonald's to use the loo, leave the car on the charger for 5-10 minutes. It puts enough miles in to get about the day. You don't have to charge to full 100% every time you stop. And quite often you don't have to charge much at all just to get about your daily, day-to-day running about. Now, where that changes is if you're doing a lot of miles. If you're the sort of business where you could just at the drop of a hat have to go to a call out 50 miles away, and you've already been running around in the morning, you're going to be struggling. So you're going to need to find chargers on the way there and on the way back. Whereas if you know that your job's 10 minutes from home, and you're not going to be going anywhere else, and that's the vast majority of your work, then the odd charging on the road isn't too much of an issue. But having to do it day to day, it would be stressful and it would be a pain in the backside. So the reasons I like this van, so the main one is it is so easy to drive. It's automatic, which is great, but it's also really smooth. So even on my Ranger, which is an auto diesel, it's still revvy, like you haven't to stomp the accelerator to actually get it moving and all the rest. Whereas with this, it's instant power. You put your foot down, it goes. It's very much like an on and off switch on electric, you know, remote control car. Put your foot down, it goes. It's really nippy off the lights. I've never been in a situation where I felt like I'm underpowered. Like, you know, when you're going up a hill in your small diesel powered van and you're fully loaded with ladders on the roof and all the rest, this thing just goes and goes. It's never felt like it's underpowered. So the motor in it is just fantastic for the size of the van. Now, how it affects the range is a bit of a different matter. When you've got your ladders on, when you've got your back fully loaded, your range does come down. But we've already established that if you're doing a lot of miles a lot of the time, you're just not going to have this van in the first place. But day-to-day running, it is so simple, so easy to drive. We've got the CarPlay, we've got the reversing sensors, all of that sort of thing. Some of the things it doesn't have that I wish it did, heated seats would be nice. Having had Transits and Fords for the past sort of like 15 years, I'm really missing heated seats when I'm in it. And I've even been really spoiled recently because we've got a VW Buzz at home, and that's got a heated steering wheel, and this doesn't. So it would be nice to have some of that. The other thing it'd be nice to have is cameras. Now, I've got a 21 ProAce Icon, and it is a relatively high spec for these vans. So when you look at the other vans in the range, similar stuff, I know the Dispatch that we've got doesn't have the reversing sensors or anything. So the Icon has some stuff. It's got leather seats under here as well, but I keep the seat covers on. It would be nice to have a camera. You can retrofit them. There is a kit that goes into the dash, but it would be a nice thing to have a camera on there. And that's it really. That's the only thing I missed. The double sliding door is really nice. Overall, it's a nice van. Really like it. Really easy, cheap to run. We charge at night at home, and it's 7 pence per kilowatt hour, and we get about 2.5 miles per kilowatt. I think that's right. So that's working out at like 3.5 pence per mile. Very cheap, really cheap to run. If you're charging on the supercharger network, it's a little bit different. It's equivalent to diesel, so you're paying diesel prices and you're not getting any of the bonuses because you've got a crappy small battery. So overall, there's certainly some pros and cons, but I really like this. It's my favourite vehicle on the fleet, and if you're thinking about getting one and you're always close to home, it's definitely something I would recommend. Right, that was a quick pit stop back home to get the dog and a coffee, because I wanted to actually demonstrate this and show you why these vans drive me mad, and it's the biggest gripe that I've got over the whole vehicle. However, if this is the biggest gripe, it's not doing too bad at all, I don't think. And that's this stupid little cup holder here. So it doesn't, like, that's just a really small thermal cup. It doesn't fit in at all. And if you get one of the bigger ones, you've got absolutely no hope. Obviously, if you've got this sort of thing, then you can probably get that in there and they go all right, and a can of Coke will go in or anything like that. So yeah, major pain in the backside. As I say though, if that's the worst thing, then I'm not doing bad really. So over here, look, I'll show you what else we've got. You get this kind of office desk type setup. Excuse me, Ted. I don't think I've used it like ever for what it's intended, which is like leaning on, doing your paperwork. Usually if I've got something to carry, I put it in there and I strap the seatbelt across the front of it, and that's about it. But you know, some people like that sort of thing. There's not even a cup holder in there, which is really weird. So going back to the rest of the bits and pieces in the van, other than that, it does quite well for storage and being able to shove stuff, like, you know, coat hangers up here. You've got a window through to the back if you want it, you can take that out. There is some under seat storage. Obviously, being an electric van, you're probably going to have stuck your cable under there, and then you've got all the space in the back. Now this is the short wheelbase, so we don't have the 3 meter lengths pass through. You do have a door which the seat can go forward, and you can put a pipe all the way through, but we just put the pipe tubes on the roofs on these, and it all seems to work quite well. Saying that, because I'm kind of partly on the tools and off the tools, I'm considering taking the roof rack off this one, just for the little bit of extra benefit on the range, and it just, you know, makes things a bit more aerodynamic. So when you are going up the motorway, there's no noise and things like that, because for the most part, I don't know when the last time I went in a pipe tube was, and I've only had ladders on once or twice. Now, obviously, if you're looking at it as a daily working out of van, it might be entirely different for you. So, as I said, there's a lot of pros and cons to these vans, and let's be fair, if you're watching this video, you probably already know that your range might be fine, okay? If you're not sure if the range is fine and you want a transit van that can do, you know, 300 miles, 400 miles between fill-ups, you're not even watching this video. Yeah, this is the thing. I'm kind of preaching to the people who are already interested in something that might only have a 100-mile a day range and are not too concerned if it turns out being a bit less, or they just want some more information. The best thing about this vehicle is the day-to-day running costs. Okay, we charge it up at night and it's dirt cheap. Now, the other thing I've not talked about is the servicing. Now, this goes into the day-to-day running costs. If you've got a Transit, my Transits at TC Harrison's, our main Ford dealer, cost me between £350 and £500 a service, depending on what's needed. And then, like for example, our 18 plate Transit needs its wet belt doing this year. Now, the wet belt on the Transit vans, as we all know, it's a lot of money. I think it's 1,500 quid just for the service part, and you've got the service on top of that as well. So the service interval where it goes in for its wet belts is probably a £2,000 visit on a van that's already been to the moon and back if you're using it for a lot of mileage every day. So the thing with these is, this van I'm in now went into Toyota, I think it was in November, just before Christmas. We're filming this in January now, and it cost me £149 for the service. And I get it, they don't actually do anything on an electric van. What's the service? They make sure you've been putting washer fluids in, and they make sure your brakes are still all right, which they are, because we use the regen braking. And so £149 for the service, that extended my warranty by an extra year, and they'll do that up to 7 years. So you get a 3-year warranty as standard, which most vans do, and then if you keep getting it serviced at the main dealer, for each year you have the service there, they'll extend that warranty. Now, I didn't know this at first, so the first year that we had the van, because we bought a 2021 plate on about 2.5 years old, and the first year I had it serviced, I just sent it to my normal garage. Cost me more than that to service it. I think they don't do anything, because again, what's to do? They check your tyre pressures for you, make sure you put in washer fluid in it, and that's pretty much it on an electric van. Now, the following year we did have a problem in it, and I'll come to that later in this video, what the problems we've had with them are. but it ended up going to Toyota, and while it was there we found out about this warranty extension, and I was a bit concerned because we'd missed a service interval what would happen for the previous years, because also with me buying it with limited service history at the time I didn't know where it had been serviced previously. Toyota had gotten a record of it, but they checked it all over, did the service, extended our warranty for another year. Now that's pretty good. In fact, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? So over 7 years for what's that, about £1,000 in servicing costs, then you get a 7-year warranty, which is just amazing. Which leads us on to the batteries. Now, the only trouble we've had with anything on these vans, the one I'm in now has got a replacement wing mirror because someone took it off, so that's one issue. We've had a couple of knocks and dinks where the lads have been using them day to day and they just pick up the odd scuff. Then the only other issue, which both the vehicles have had, is a traction battery fault. Now, this could be caused by a million different things, and particularly the Stellantis group and things like the Corsas from Vauxhall, some of the different Citroen cars out there, and all the vans in the range can come up with this traction battery fault error. And we've narrowed it down to the 12-volt battery system. So when your 12-volt battery starts getting low, which on these vehicles, they're not got a big 12-volt battery, and if you're working out of them all day, you're plugging things in your 12-volt fag lighter and all of that, it is not unusual that your 12-volt goes low. That can lead to a traction fault. Now, we had to have this one recovered, and it was stuck on a customer's drive because not only had the 12-volt gone, which meant that it wouldn't release the handbrake, and we couldn't tow it because it's an electric automatic box. It was just a nightmare. Knowing what I know now, it's very easy to just go under the bonnet, unscrew one bolt and activate neutral manually, and then you can tow it like any normal vehicle might be towed. But at the time we didn't know that, RAC didn't know that either, and it just goes to show that, you know, just getting in your vehicle and driving it, if I'd learnt this in advance, it could have saved us a lot of pain. Luckily it was all covered by the RAC, it didn't cost us a fortune, but that warranty, if it was a major issue, if it was a battery problem, we could have a 7-year warranty on this vehicle. So that's, you know, a massive pro for us. Really cheap running, long warranties, and all just great for our local world. So in future, I'd have no qualms with having another one of these. I've seen a lot of VW Buzzers. Now, I've got a Buzz as our home car. Having one for a work vehicle, it seems like a great idea because they are so cheap at the moment. The only issue with that is they haven't got the warranty. So a 3-year warranty on one of them, and then you're up, and then you're just you're on your own with it. And if you do have a problem, it's tough. Like, what can you do? No one knows how to work on them. No one wants to work on them. You can't even tow the damn things. So it is a tricky one. But this Toyota, the Toyota ProAce, has got that 7-year warranty option. Now, the Citroen, the Peugeot, the Vauxhall do not get that, as far as I know. Now, do your own research and double check, but it's the Toyota one where you do get that. And then when it comes to like buying one of these in the specs, this one is a 50 kilowatt hour Icon, as I've already said. You can get the same model in a 75, and I've looked on Auto Trader before I've done this video, and there's one on there which has done, I think, 30,000 miles with a 75 kilowatt hour battery, and it's 12.5 grand plus VAT. Now, for me, that sounds maybe like it might be a little bit expensive. However, you won't find a van that's done that mileage. You know, the vans that are cheaper or equivalent sort of price for the age have all done like 70, 80, 100,000 miles. And at the end of the day, these vans, they've still got drive shafts, they've still got the brakes, the hubs, they've got all the suspension components. So even though the battery and the gearbox and all of that is taken out, so you've not got to worry about the mileage on that, you've still got general road miles, wear and tear on your suspension, steering and all the other components. Now, on the electrics, you won't find an electric van that's done 100,000 miles. No one does that many miles in them. This one of ours, like I said, 16,000, and it's on a 21 plate, so it's come up to, it'll be 5 years old this year, and it's done nothing. That is like, it's 3,000 miles a year. And to be fair, we've probably done, I bet we've done 8,000 of those miles because we bought them really low mileage when we did get hold of them. So overall, I'm really happy. It's, like I say, my favourite vehicle on the fleet, and we've got 2 Transits, we've got a Connect, we've got 2 Rangers. What else we've got a whole bunch of Peugeots and things like that. We've got about 9 vans in total, plus I've got the electric Buzz at home. So we've got a vast, wide array of vehicles, and it's this ProAce that most of the time I prefer to get into. Now, tomorrow I'm going to Doncaster, and I'm probably going to go in the electric van, which I know I will regret on the way home, because after a long, cold, hard day on site, I've then got to charge up on the way home. So we'll probably continue this video into tomorrow, and I'll do the road trip to fit a battery storage system in Doncaster, and you can just see how we get on, how many miles we do, how we have to charge, and it'll give you an idea of, on the days where you do have to go a little bit further, what you've got to do to manage that. Now, as of today, I'm now up to 92, and we started on, what, 56? So what's that, 40 miles today? Maybe not as many as that, actually. 33 miles today. Still got a bit of running around to do this afternoon. I've still got 60 miles in the battery. I'm not doing 60 miles today. It's now 20 past 1. I'm back at the office. I've got to nip across Derby to the wholesalers and back, and I don't need to go anywhere else, so that's covered us for the day. So it's obviously the next day, and it's very early. Too early for me normally. But we've got a bit of a run today, so we're going all the way up to Doncaster, which is 70 miles away. And obviously the return trip is too far for the range on the van, so we'll see what happens with charging and whatnot. Now, this is quite normal for me, doesn't faze me one bit. If we was in the Buzz, it'd do it there and back. So anyone thinking of an electric car and wondering range and stuff like that, like it's no problem for 90% of the electric vehicles out there that are less than 5 years old. However, this van, 80 mile range, well, 120 mile range, but real world of about 80 when it's fully loaded and cold. I think what we'll probably do is charge on the way up, 10-15 minutes, put about 25-30 miles in, and then we'll do the same on the way back, but charge for a little bit longer. And normally I do my day's paperwork while I'm charging, so let's get unplugged, get on the road and head up to Doncaster. You can see we put 24 kilowatt hours in on the last charge, but that's a bit of a, it's not a real number because it charged in the evening as well, early afternoon, evening, whatever, through Octopus Intelligence. So it put a separate charge in and then stopped, and then it put another charge in overnight. So just before we set off, here we are, look, we're at 16,004 miles, 116 miles on the range, and our route is straight up the M1, and I've got no idea where the services are either. So I know a lot of people say you should plan your routes when you're off in your EV, but to be fair, nowadays it doesn't really matter that much. So we've made our first stop on the motorway and we're charging. I don't need to though, that's the thing. We get to the job with just the juice that we've got, but the guy I'm working with needed the loo. So while we're here, we'll stick it on charge and we'll see how it goes. We're at a 50% battery at the minute, and 54 minutes to complete a full charge, it says. And we've currently got 50 miles left in the battery, so we'll see how we get on. I'm going to go to get a coffee, and we'll probably leave it on charge for 10 minutes or so and see how it goes. It's exciting, isn't it, charging on the road? It feels like a bit of a treat. Right, that's us charged up and ready to go. So we are now 84 miles left on the range, and we're only in 15 minutes. So it's put, what's that, 25 miles in 15 minutes. Time for a pee and a coffee, and off we go to the job. So most likely we'll end up back at this same services on the way home for another 20 odd minute charge, and that'll get us all the way home then. But no, all good. Let's get off to the job. So we're on site and we made it. A small charge on the way here in the morning, but as we've been through, we're about 70 miles from home. The van should easily do that, no problems, but we did have a stop on the way. Stopped for 15 minutes in the end of charging, and I went and got a coffee from Starbucks. Nigel went to the loo, was back on the road. So got to the job, the van's parked up. They have got a charger here, so sometimes on jobs like this, where we're at the job, I can chuck the customer some cash and charge on their 7 kilowatt if it's going to be worth it. But I don't think it's not worth it today, because it will cause havoc with where we're all parked and get the vans in and things like that, because there's quite a few vans here today. So you can see, look, we've got solar panels on behind us already, battery storage unit going on in the garage, and we're going to have the power off shortly as well. So even if my van was charging, power coming on and off, it's not ideal. So that's it really. So on the way home, I don't think I've got enough range to get all the way home, but we're going to probably stop for another 20-minute charge en route, and I can just give a rundown of the last 2 days' mileage, how much charge we've used, how long I've actually stopped, parked and charged for, and then you can make a decision, are these vans right for you? Definitely not for everyone. I really love it. I enjoy driving the EV. It's really comfortable, easy to drive, just handy, you know. It's like a press and go, really easy to drive and get on with. But that trade-off is occasionally you need to spend half an hour of your day charging while you're on the road, and it can be a pain in the backside, especially when you want to get done and get home. But we can talk about that later as we wrap the video up. Hopefully the last stop of the day, back at Woodall Services, but on the southbound lane, and we are on, I think they're 150 kilowatt chargers now. So the van only charges at 100 kilowatt maximum, and we're charging at 79 kilowatts now. Well, it's to 80 now, so that's pretty good. Now this is a good services because you can see all the Teslas gang up together over there. So they let us peasants with the cheap vans charge on the grid serve charges. So it says an hour and 12 until fully complete. I think we need 35 miles, no, 46 miles from home we are, that's the one. So I reckon we've got 20 minutes, half an hour maybe here. So I'm gonna go and get a drink, and that will do us for the last leg of our journey home. And now it's the following day again, and that wraps up this video. So you've seen us do the day-to-day jobbing, sort of visiting 5 or 6 different appointments all around Derby. I didn't really show much of that, but I was mostly quoting. I had a small works job to do. I met a couple of customers, and I went to 2 different wholesalers. So did a fair few miles. The van, it doesn't trouble. 80, 100 mile range is no problem for that. So in the winter, 80 is easy. In the summer, 100 is easy. If you're going down the motorways, that has a big drop off in the range, especially if you're fully loaded. If you've got ladders on the roof, you've got back that's full. The speed at the motorway makes a big difference. So if you're going 70 or maybe above, if that's how you drive, it's going to drop off really quickly. If you go a bit slower, if you sit behind a lorry at 60 or 65, the range goes a lot further. Now, I didn't really talk about heating. A lot of people say have no heaters on and things like that. But like for me, that's just out of the question, not an option. Like if you've got to drive a van or a car and not have the heaters on just so you can drive it, it's crazy talk. So there is the odd occasion where I might think, oh, I'm going to get stuck not getting to a charger here. So I will put it into eco mode. But generally, I drive around in the regular drive mode. And it's great. Now, you do have sport mode in this van. I don't really know what that's for, but it is rapid. Like it's faster than our Transits, it's faster than my Ranger, and so pulling off the lights and getting up hills and things like that, no problem at all. I've drove vans where when you've got your ladders on the roof, you're fully loaded in the back, you've got your passenger, and you come to a hill, it just slows down drastically. And I've never had this in this vehicle, so that's great. Just trying to think of some of the other bits that day-to-day come up. Other than that, it's normal van stuff. Like I can, you know, do the whole van review thing, show you how I stash my tools, but whether that's electric or diesel or petrol, it makes no difference on that sort of thing. But it's a nice vehicle, decent spec, probably a bit older now if you're looking at newer vehicles. But again, if you're watching this and it's a vehicle of an electric ProAce from a few years ago, you know what you're getting, and it's a pretty high spec for its age. The only thing I would look out for is maybe one with a bigger battery, a 75 kilowatt hour battery. As long as you're charging every night, all of a sudden all your problems go away. And if you're thinking, oh, will I get my 200 mile round trip in? No, you definitely won't. So you're looking at the wrong vehicle if that's a regular thing. So that's it. That's wrapped it up. So thanks for watching. If you're interested in EVs and you need a charger fitting, we can do that for you, obviously. There you go, look. Electrical innovations. You've already seen the logo on the van, but you can give us a call about that. We do solar, battery, all types of electrics if you're in Derby or surrounding areas. Or if you've got any questions about the van, just leave them in the comments below. I'll answer where I can. And good luck. And like I say, I can definitely recommend this one. And hopefully you find one that suits you.